AMD stock has an important AI event on October 10th that an analyst recently announced could be a potential catalyst for the stock. But what can AMD really show investors that we don't already know about? Talking about AI, I want to make sure that you're not an AI system, so don't forget to hit the thumbs up and subscribe button. All jokes aside, in today's episode we will do the following. First, take a closer look at recent analyst thoughts, then catalyst potentials, and finally, my final thoughts. So let's get started.
I want to thank The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and check out fool.com/Jose for the 10 best stocks to buy now. With that link, you get a promotional offer for the subscription service. Now, let's continue with today's episode.
All right, so first I want to start off with just stock price action and just want to compare AMD's year-to-date returns to some of the semiconductor ETFs and some semiconductor players. So right now, AMD year-to-date is up roughly 17.5%, where SOXX, which is a very popular semiconductor ETF, is up 23%, and SMH, another popular one, is up roughly 44.7%. So we can see that unfortunately AMD right now, as where it stands, is kind of underperforming the vast semiconductor space, which is very, very interesting because AMD actually has an AI product and can definitely benefit from this AI revolution. We can see, NVDA, for example, one that's leading the AI space, is up roughly 155% year to date. Now, for those that are not familiar with me, NVIDIA is my number one position, followed by AMD. And while I don't believe AMD will be the next NVIDIA, and I don't think AMD should give us returns like NVIDIA, I do believe that AMD should give us better returns in the long term of things over the semiconductor market, which is not doing right now. So these are just my overall thoughts, and we can see that AMD, I do believe, has opportunity in the long term of things. Now, the recent analyst right now comes from Bank of America, and he currently reiterates his buy rating on AMD and has a price target of $180. And he believes that the company's upcoming AI event, which is coming on October 10th, could light a fire under investors who have been waiting to buy. So another thing that they mentioned is the stock jumped almost 10% on December 7th of 2023, which was last year's AI event. So some are expecting that, hey, look, maybe this AI event could be a potential catalyst like same time last year. Now, I have done a deep dive on this AI event and kind of mentioned some, I've talked about everything about the AI event. In a bit, I'm just going to reiterate what I believe could be a huge catalyst for the stock in that event. But kind of staying here with the analysts and some of just analyst expectations right now, this analyst believes that now with AI revenue picking back up, that AMD could re-rate towards somewhere of 30 to 55 forward PE ratios that it has managed to trade in the past due to rapid revenue growth, right? And another thing that he expects this AI event to kind of emphasize a lot of the improvements that the company is doing in the AI market. Now, I first want to take a closer look at those PE ratio forward expectations. So, AMD is already trading at those forward PE ratios of 47 right now, and that's within the next 6 months. So that's within his 30 to 55 rate, and forward 1 year, which is the end of next fiscal year. So that's about a year and a half from now, is about 30. So maybe this analyst expects that the stock can trade at forward 1 year's PE ratio of a little bit higher after this AI event, due to the overall catalyst potentials. Now, some of you might be wondering what are some of the catalyst potentials that AMD can see from this AI event. First is maybe just an increase in its AI sales. For those that are not familiar, AMD in their most recent earnings mentioned that they updated their AI sales to reach roughly $4.5 billion this year. Again, very small to compare to a company like NVIDIA, but $1 billion in a market that they were probably almost zero in is pretty impressive. Now, analyst expectations are actually a little bit higher than this. Analysts actually believe that AMD's AI sales could reach roughly $5.1 billion in 2024. So they're hoping AMD in the upcoming 2 quarters continues to raise guidance. Now, by 2025, they believe it can grow to roughly $9.7 billion, and by 2026, it can grow to roughly $12.8 billion. So we can see huge revenue growth here coming in from GPUs alone. alone. But what's also important is that AMD is not only in the GPU market, they're also in the CPU market for consumers, which is definitely seeing a nice trend from AI PCs right now. It's in early innings, but we have a nice ramp up. Obviously, the embedded market, which is currently maybe flattening out, can pick back up. And obviously, CPU server sales also have a potential to go. So while this analyst, very similar to myself, isn't bullish that AMD is the next NVIDIA, it does believe that there is some space for this company to continue to grow just due to overall market share expansion. Now, AMD, like I mentioned, they're going to talk about a lot of different events in a lot of different products during this AI event. The ones I'm very excited about are obviously their AI accelerators. I really want to hear more about the MI325X. And even though we already know it's coming out the end of this year, what I do believe could be a potential catalyst for this stock is either more customers. I mean, last year, the MI300 only had Meta, Oracle, and Microsoft. If Google or Amazon enter as big players in a customer here, I think that could be a huge catalyst for this company. The other catalyst that I think would be huge for AMD is if they give us more updates on their networking solutions, which is the Ultra Ethernet and Ultra Accelerator Link, which they're working with other companies to battle against NVIDIA, which can help them build huge supercluster builds. And if we get more updates here, I do believe this can also be a potential big win for AMD. If AMD announces, hey, look, our MI350, our MI325, our MI400 is going to be able to scale out to huge superclusters for AI workloads, then that can be very bullish for the stock as well. The final catalyst that I think could also drive the stock up is in the recent conference, Lisa Su says that there's an opportunity for AMD in custom ASIC solutions for the AI market, very similar to how they use custom, semi-custom solutions for the gaming market. So if we hear about anything like this during this AI event, I think that would be great news for investors. One final bullish news that I want to take a closer look at for AMD is on September 26th, they mentioned that Oracle Cloud Infrastructure Supercluster leads among cloud providers with support of up to 16,000 AMD Instinct MI300 GPUs in a single ultra-fast network fabric solution. So, I mean, it seems like, in my opinion, Oracle is really great at building superclusters and AI data center solutions. And they're one of the first tiers to do it with the MI300. So I think Oracle, in my opinion, is a pretty interesting play. We've talked about it at the beginning of the year when the stock was at 100. Now it's at over 160. So I'm very excited that we did do that video. And we can see AMD is definitely growing in this space. And if we continue to hear about superclusters like this and even other big customers, like I mentioned earlier on, entering the MI300, MI325X, then this can be very bullish for the stock. Now, my final thoughts on AMD. Personally, for me, I think the stock at these levels of a PE ratio forward 1 year of over 30 is when it starts to get maybe not completely overvalued, but not a time I personally would buy. I like to purchase more when it's like in the mid 20s, 25, 26, 27. And we've had those levels really close in just the past few months. I mean, in just on early September, the stock was trading at 134, and in early August, the stock was trading at 130. And I did plenty of videos then when I mentioned that I really like the valuation right there. Now with the stock sitting at 162, 167 pre-market, this would be more of a time for me to very small dollar cost average if I wanted to enter a position. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Take care, have a good day, and see you next time.